everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Reads with Renee. My name is Renee here at Simply Renee, and I want to just say thank you so much to everyone who has liked, shared, commented, subscribed, and clicked the notification bell to my channel. I truly appreciate all the support, and I look forward to bringing you more content as time goes by. So today is International Women's Day, and I wanted to do something special for International Women's Day here for Sunday Reads with Renee. For those of you who are unfamiliar with International Women's Day, it's a day to celebrate all the women across the globe who have had some kind of influence and impact on the world in many different ways. And because this is Sunday Reads with Renee, I wanted to do something special to pay tribute to the international female writers who have influenced us for centuries, decades, and even in most recent years with all their various works, whether it's for thought-provoking works or just pleasure reading, a combination of both. All women have done some kind of writing that has influenced us in many ways, and I really wanted to pay tribute to that today, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some of them with you here in this video. Before I begin, I just want to let everyone know that I'm going to be focusing on women outside the United States, even though I'm a resident of the United States, and I do think that women in America have committed a lot of different types of writing and attributes to writing here in America. I really wanted to focus on the ones outside of the US who have had just as much of an influence and impact, even more so. And I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on that in this video. I'm also going to be doing alternative words and phrases because YouTube rules and regulations, so be on the lookout for that. Revealing a couple plot details, so be forewarned that spoilers are ahead. And also I'm going to be doing more visuals and voiceovers than anything else because I feel that's the best way to really celebrate the international female writers in this video. And now on with the video. To begin talking about the international female writers, you have to go back to the earliest documented female writers. The first one I'll speak of is Enheduanna, who was the daughter of King Sargon of Akkad during the Akkadian Empire around 2300 BCE, and she is the first named author in world history known for her Sumerian temple hymns and personal poetry. There's the Greek poet Sappho from ancient Greece around 630 to 570 BCE, who was known for her lyrical poetry, which was meant to be sung. There's Avvaiyar, one of the 27 women among 473 poets of the Sangam Tamil period. Then there's also the Japanese court lady Murasaki Shikibu, who in the 11th century wrote and published The Tale of the Genji, often cited as the world's first novel. And last but not least, there's Anna Komnene, who is a Byzantine princess in the 12th century who wrote the Alexid, a history of her father's reign, including a lot of military and political history of the Byzantine Empire. And of course, Christine of Pizan, who is an Italian-born woman who lived in France in the 15th century and is known as the first professional female author in the world, specifically for several of her works, including the Book of the City of the Ladies, which discusses a lot of different types of women throughout history at that time who had some kind of effect on the world, whether that was Mary Magdalene, the Queen of Sheba, Blanche of Castile, or Minerva. We also can't forget Gulbadan Begum, a Mughal princess who was born in present-day Afghanistan and wrote a book account on the life of her half-brother. Now that I've completed the earliest documented female writers, there's plenty more, of course, and you're more than welcome to do your own research on that. But I'd like to get into a little bit more on the ones who came after the 16th century, the ones who've had magnificent influence on the world thereover. And there's plenty of them that you can find in the United Kingdom. Jane Austen, who wrote these timeless romances in the early 19th century, from Pride and Prejudice to Persuasion. There's also the mid-19th century with the Bronte sisters, who were half Irish through their father and wrote these great works. Emily Bronte wrote Wuthering Heights, Charlotte Bronte wrote Jane Eyre, and Anne Bronte wrote The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. There is Elizabeth Gaskell, who was the Bronte sisters' contemporary, who wrote the famous North and South. And then there's Mary Shelley, who was more of Jane Austen's contemporary, but wrote the excellent Frankenstein. We also have Mary Wollenstonecraft, mother of Mary Shelley, who was an early feminist thinker and wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792, which is more about how women had this perceived inferiority inferiority that stemmed more from a lack of education and not nature. So she was very much a radical political thinker in that regard of the 18th century and was an advocate for rational equality and equal education. And of the United Kingdom writers that I can think of from the early 20th century to the 21st century, there's, of course, Agatha Christie, who is known as the Queen of Crime for writing these fantastic mystery novels that are still well read even today in 2026, whether that's reading The M Word of Roger Ackroyd and creating two of the most memorable detectives in mystery fiction history, which are Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot. We also have Zadie Smith, who wrote the great work called White Teeth. We also have Ruth Ware, who writes all these psychological thrillers that include In a Dark, Dark Wood, along with her contemporary Lisa Jewell, who also writes a lot of great psychological thrillers as well. And we also have Sandra Levy, who wrote the famous Small Island, published in the early 2000s, and I do recommend a read. If you go over to Canada, you'll find two very talented writers who've written classic works, such as Lucy Maud Montgomery's Anne of Green Gables and Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. And Anne of Green Gables is a personal favorite of mine because of the character Anne Shirley. She had red hair and freckles like me, and I just enjoyed that character. And for Latina writers, I can think of Isabel Allende, who wrote these fantastic books, everything from Daughter's Fortune to Ripper. And there's also Silvia Morena-Garcia, who's more of a somewhat newbie on the scene for the last few years for her more popular works such as Mexican Gothic and Velvet Was the Night. In terms of French authors, I can think of Simone de Beauvoir, who wrote The Second S Word, which was more about philosophy, feminist philosophy, and created the spark of the second wave feminism, and Leila Slimani, who was born in Morocco but has lived in France for many years and has written a selection of different types of works, including The Perfect Nanny, also under the other title Lullaby, and a work called Adele. Of the two Nigerian female writers I can think of that I really enjoy are Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and Oinken Braithwaite. And these are two very talented Nigerian writers. I really liked Oinken's My Sister, the Serial K Word, and Adichie's Dream Count. I can also think of a lot of different Irish female writers who had some kind of effect on the world. Elizabeth Bowen, whose book The Last September was published in 1929 and concerns life in Danielstown, County Cork, Ireland during the Irish War of Independence. There's Kate O'Brien, who was very much a radical thinker in her day of the early 20th century, whose books and plays often dealt with issues of female agency, and she was very much a feminist in her own right. Her book, The Land of Spices, explores themes of love, duty, and personal longing in the Irish convent school. And it's a work that's very much well known for a lot of exploration into the human condition as well as love, including a quest for identity outside of societal constraints. We also have other talented Irish female writers who have an impact even today, such as Sally Rooney, who wrote Normal People and Conversations with Friends. We have Claire Keegan, whose short story, Small Things Like These, is very, very good. And we also have Tana French, who's written some interesting mystery novels for publication, including In the Woods, which is very good. And then we also have Emma Donoghue and Maeve Binchy, who've written great works as well. For Emma Donoghue, one of my favorite works of hers is Room, which is very good. And for Binchy, it is A Week in Winter, as well as The Quintons. There are many other talented international writers outside the United States as well. We have Jean Kwok, who wrote The Girl in Translation and Searching for Sylvie Lee. There's Sayaka Murata, who wrote Convenience Store Woman, which I absolutely love. R.F. Kuang, who wrote Yellowface. We have Fatima Bhutto, who wrote The Shadow of the Crescent Moon. We have Elisa Shua Dusapin, who wrote Winter in Sakusho. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. And Aria Aber, whose 2025 debut novel Good Girl is set in Berlin and follows a year in the life of a 19-year-old artist and daughter of Afghan refugees. And this concludes the video for today, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Now, tell me what you think. Have you heard of these authors and read them, and what did you think about them? Have you not heard of those authors and are interested in reading them? Are there other authors I didn't mention in this video that are just as influential, important, and entertaining as anyone else? Please let me know in the comments. I love to hear all discussions as always. I thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I'll be back on Wednesday with another video, Friday with a food video, and next Sunday with another Sunday Reads with Renee video. And an important little update to the Sunday Reads is that after the month of March, I'm going to go back to doing regular various types of work because I'm doing a lot of Women's History Month here for March, as well as some Irish themed books as well because it is March. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. But I'll be back to doing more of a regular, various different topics as we go forward in other different forms of book reviews. And I thank you so much for tuning in and hope you will look forward to that as well. Again, I thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.